The bases dropped on a beautiful Friday morning, September the 13th. Busy weekend ahead in MLS. We're going to get you set for that, and especially for the Columbus Crew coming to town to face Atlanta United at the Benz tomorrow evening. SDH Live, Jason Longshore, John Nelson here with you this morning. And John, I think we have some juice boxes to discuss, because there's a lot of games to talk about this weekend.
You ain't kidding, brother. So we are geared up, ready to go, and everyone make sure that you have your flavors sorted out, ready to pull, off to the side, push to the back, because we're ready to go.
All right, let me get my menu of juice box flavors ready to go as we look at New York City and San Jose to kick us off. It's tomorrow at 12:30. You can watch it before you head down to the Gulch to tailgate. That's what I'll be doing. San Jose have lost their last 4 on the road. New York City, they have not lost at home in their last 6, and they've taken 16 out of their last 18 possible points. The draw to Toronto is the only blemish on that record. Also, and Jarrett Smith won't like this, San Jose has never beaten New York City. Here's a little sliver of hope for the Quakes, though. Chris Wondolowski just keeps doing the business. 3 goals in their last 3 matches. They're going to need something out of Wando at Yankee Stadium. What do the experts think about this one?
NYCFC's only at minus 106.
San Jose's good.
San Jose, plus 250 to win. Draws at plus 280.
New York City should win.
Should.
They should. San Jose, I am not subscribing to Mike Conti's theory that they're out of gas. I don't think that's the case. I just think that they are a good, not great team, and they're in 5th in the West. Could they end up being 2nd in the West? Yep, they could. They easily could. They're only 2 points out of it right now. Could they be in 8th in the West? Yep, they could be that too, because the West is insane. It's just absolutely insane. So the Quakes are going to have to get something done down the stretch. I don't think they can do it in this one, though.
No.
The wild card to it, and the reason that I'm not even thinking about a juice box here, is I want to see San Jose's helter-skelter, crazy brand of soccer on a field that is smaller than regulation size.
Yeah.
I want to see how crazy it gets. I'm having some flashbacks to Spartan Stadium in San Jose in the early days of MLS, which was even smaller than Yankee Stadium in terms of the pitch size. And that turned into pinball sometimes with teams not trying to play pinball. I think Matias Almeida is going to try to play bumper cars and forget pinball. It's going to be absolute chaos in this one. And is that enough to throw NYC off? The other thing about NYC is those numbers are great. 16 out of the last 18, unbeaten at home in their last 6. Well, they had Eber for a good bit of it. Now, what do they do when they're really tested without him? On the San Jose side, you look at what they have left. They go to Yankee Stadium, they come to Atlanta. Both matches that if they get any points out of, they'll be happy. Then they get 2 at home. They get Philadelphia, not easy. They get Seattle. Then they go to Portland to finish it out. There's not a lot of points left on the table for the Quakes. There's no easy points in those final 5. So how does that affect it? Do they get a little tight because of that? It's possible. I think NYC gets the win here, but I am not convinced of it.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning, the dimensions of a Yankee Stadium, what is it? Peter Vermes said it was 168 by 106.
I don't remember the length part. I don't know if he stepped off the length, but he said it was definitely not 70 wide. And just when you look at it, I mean, something to keep in mind with when you're looking at a field. So the goal is 8 yards wide. The 18 to the 18, it's measured from the post. So it's 18 plus 18 plus 8. That takes you to 44. All right. Then you've got 10 yards from each corner, and you can see the mark. The mark is shown. It's 10 yards away from the corner where players have to stand behind that. That's another 20 yards. So that takes you to 64. If the mark is even with the edge of the 18, you're talking about a pitch that is 64 yards wide. And then you're doing the math from there about how far the 10-yard mark away from the corner is from the edge of the 18 on the end line. That's where you start trying to do math. And when you look at it, it doesn't look like it's 70 wide. St. Louis, Busch Stadium, looked like it was probably right about 70 wide. And it felt and played to me wider than Yankee Stadium does. So it's just going to be bumper cars and a MXC challenge event of some sort playing this match with the way San Jose plays. So I'm kind of looking forward to it in a little bit of a perverse way. This thing's going to be craziness.
In theory, you're looking at a surface without marking it off that is about 15% less size if you take Peter Vermes' number.
Yeah, the length it's shorter. I don't know the length part, and that's where I'm not 100% sure. So I'm not even going to speculate on that. It does feel shorter than your average.
But yeah, so even if it is
percentage, it's small.
Shorter per se. Yeah, so you have a team that's used to doing Almeida's style, and now you're doing it on a pitch that is, in theory, less size. So it should be a fun watch, but I'm still looking at NYCFC here.
Yeah, and it's definitely smaller. I just don't know what percentage it is, and it doesn't matter. It's just going to be chaos. That's what it's going to turn into here. A game that I don't know if it'll be chaos or not, but it's a big one. Chicago hosting Dallas at 3:30. Maybe not the sexiest game for the Twitter game of the week and the Univision game of the week. It's two teams that Dallas is in the final playoff spot in the West. Chicago is in 10th in the East, but they're not out of it. They're 5 points out of a playoff spot. The Fire have won their last 4 matches in Bridgeview against Dallas. Chicago's only got 1 loss in their last 13 at home. Dallas only has 1 win in their last 10 on the road. Feels like a Chicago win is on the cards here.
And that would be in the juice boxes. Fire right now minus 125. FC Dallas plus 300. Your draw once again plus 280.
Yeah, Dallas has 1 win in their last 10 on the road. They've got that 1 win in the last 4 times they've been out on the road, but they've also lost 4 times in that last 6. Dallas went to Kansas City and won. It feels like Chicago wins this. I'm very reluctant to believe in the Chicago Fire, but Dallas just have not been good on the road. I think Chicago should get the job done and keep their hopes alive. 7:30, Montreal, Cincinnati. Montreal has to win. I mean, there's just no question about it. They have to get 3 points at Stade Saputo here. Cincinnati have lost 10 of their last 12 on the road. The Impact have conceded 2+ goals in 5 of their last 6 matches. Yikes. Can Cincinnati find any goals? That's always a question when it comes to FC Cincinnati. Montreal should get this done.
Over under at 2.5. The over is listed at -175.
Yeah, that's what I would have liked, but not at that number.
Montreal -200. FC Cincinnati +600. The draw +300.
Don't care if Cincinnati's plus 1,000. Not touching it. No belief. No belief in Cincinnati. Orlando and New England. This is a very intriguing match kicking off at 7:30 Saturday night. Orlando has not lost to New England at home in their last 6 matches in all competitions. The Revs, now, it's funny where, this stuff happens where, you get a team like the New England Revolution that went on a great run and turned their season around after the Brad Friedel experience turned sour. Well, it hasn't been so good lately, but everybody remembers how good it was, so everybody's still talking about how good it was. The Revs only have 1 win in their last 6. Orlando hasn't won in their last 4. Just like Montreal has to get a win, just like Chicago has to get a win, Orlando has to get a win. They're 4 points out of the final playoff spot. They're running out of time. This is a winnable game, and this is against a team that's in that final playoff spot. So, do the Lions get it done? I can't wait to hear what the purveyors think here.
Over under 2.5. The over is at -225. Orlando City.
I kind of like that. What's the under?
The under, if it's 2.5, is at +170.
That's not a bad one right there. Okay.
Orlando City +110. New England +210. The draw +280.
Orlando's not quite a home dog, but they're in the plus side of things at home. I think Orlando
You look like
wins
you were
it.
thinking under.
Well, definitely the under. I think it's going to be a tight game, and I think Orlando wins it. I do, and I think you're looking at after the weekend. New England's on 39 points. Montreal jumps them and is on 40. Orlando's on 38, and Chicago's on 37. I think Montreal, Orlando, Chicago all win this weekend. New England obviously loses to Orlando, and it gets really, really funky, and there's still funk ahead of that, too, that we'll get into here in a minute. Philadelphia and LAFC, the game of the weekend. LAFC have scored at least 2 goals in 11 of their last 12. Good grief. Philadelphia has scored at least 2 goals in their last 6 at home. So, over. Union
-275 at 2.5.
That's about right. Union have won their last 4 matches at home. LAFC have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 3. All the goals, all the chaos, Philadelphia and LAFC, what do the purveyors think?
The under, just so it's out there, at 2.5 is +210.
No way. Don't even think about it.
Union +140.
Really?
LAFC +160. Draw +280.
The draw is an interesting one here. They could cancel each other out a bit, but I think Philadelphia gets the win. I actually like the Philadelphia win here, and maybe it's a fruit punch juice box on it, a good juice box on it.
Oh,
I could see that. I could see Philadelphia winning this. Vancouver and Houston. Just what do the numbers say? I don't care. I've got stuff here. I don't care. What do the numbers say? Let's move on.
The over/under at 2.5 -200. Your under at 2.5 is +150. Vancouver +145. Houston +155. Draw +275.
That is the Hawaii football game that starts at 2 in the morning, and you had bad times with your juice boxes earlier in the night because it's the only 10 o'clock game, and nobody else outside of the Couch Ultras and El Batallon in Houston should be watching this game because, horrendous.
Friends and family.
Yeah, no, they don't watch either because they don't want to be disturbed by it and have nightmares. Portland and D.C. United kick off the Sunday slate, 3:30 in the afternoon. The Timbers have won their last 3 against D.C. in Portland. Portland needs a win here in a pretty big way. They are sitting in 6th place right now on 43 points in the West. What do the experts think about their chances of getting said win?
Portland minus 188.
Oh, that's a big number.
DC plus 425. Your draw is plus 350. Total at 2.5. The over's at minus 225.
That's a large number for DC. And if this was earlier in the season, you might think differently. But DC has not been so great as of late. Period.
I'm going to go Portland.
They haven't been so great on the road in a while, although they did whoop up on Montreal on the road in their last time out on the road. DC is actually on the road this season one of the better teams in the league. They are 5-4-6. 15 matches played on the road, 16 goals conceded, only 16 goals scored. I think it's going to be a tight one. And what was that DC number again?
Plus 350. Sorry, plus 425. My bad.
Yeah,
Draw was plus 350.
That's what I
plus
thought.
425 for DC United.
That will get a mixed berry juice box on it.
No,
not one of my favorites. I don't like the mixed berry one. Yeah, that's worth a shot. That's a decent pull there because of the win in Montreal, because of the desperation for DC at this point with the Eastern Conference so crazy, especially when you look at what they could be facing if they, going into this. They're going to know what happened with all those teams behind them on Saturday. If Chicago, Orlando, Montreal all win, which they could, and it's all compressed even more, and you finish the weekend, say DC loses it, and they're on 42, the Red Bulls could lose because they've got a tough one in Seattle. They're on 41. Montreal's on 40. New England's on 39. DC, then they've got 3 games left, and it's not necessarily a guarantee that they stay above the line. I think they've got a lot to play for here, and maybe worth an upset choice here. Just one berry, mixed berry.
One mixed berry juice box.
Berry, whatever berry juice box you got.
Very
that's
berry.
Just random berryness. Maybe that goes on the DC win in Portland. Portland could still be missing some defenders, and that's been a little bit of an issue for them.
So it's like very berry or acai pomegranate
I
or
didn't say
one of
anything
those.
about acais or pomegranates. I'm just talking about the random berry flavors that they throw into a juice box. No acais, no pomegranates, no aloes either. Toronto and Colorado.
That's your Vancouver and Houston is your aloe.
No, you're not even. No, you're not doing anything with that game. You're not turning it on. You're going to sleep. Toronto and Colorado, Sunday, 5:00. This is a really sneaky good game. There have been at least 3 goals scored in 21 of Toronto's last 23 at home. That's nuts. The Rapids have won their last 3, period. Toronto are unbeaten in their last 6. 2 of the hottest teams in Major League Soccer meet at BMO Field. Watch on TSN. Who gets the win?
Well, let's see. The total, 2-year stats. At 2.5, the over's at minus 275, the under's at plus 210. The fighting, Toronto FC's minus 275.
Oh, that's a big
The fighting Frasers. Yeah, the fighting Frasers are at plus 600.
There you go. That's a strawberry kiwi juice box right there.
Your draw's at plus 425.
You might throw one there too, because Toronto's had a lot of draws. Yeah, that's what you do. You go to Costco, and you get the apple grape juice box, the combination one. I'd rather just have an apple juice box or a grape juice box, not an apple grape. So you take one of those. I think it's Oasis brand. I think that's the Costco brand. And you throw one on the Colorado win, and you throw one on the draw, because they've won 3 in a row. They're a different team than they used to be. And Toronto is not exactly convincing. So yes, you throw juice boxes on Colorado, not great ones, the cheap brand, but you throw them on there.
So you're looking at it sounds like a parlay on the roulette wheel.
No, there's no parlay. Do you understand parlay? Because that means you got to hit both of them. You can't hit a draw and a win. You hedge your bets here. You put one on each. That's the point. So I don't think Toronto is going to win this game necessarily, but I don't know if Colorado is going to win it outright. So I'll throw one on each.
All right.
And the numbers are really good. You can't parlay it because you can't get both results. I would now I would potentially, depending on what kind of juice box action you could get on a parlay of a Colorado win and an over, but I don't know what those would be. So that would be down to your personal juice box purveyors to have that discussion. Minnesota and RSL 5:30 on Sunday. The Loons are unbeaten in their last 7 at Allianz Field, but lately games have been pretty tight with both of these teams. 2 or less goals scored in 9 of Minnesota's last 10 games, and 2 or less goals scored in each of RSL's last 4 games. Kind of weird with Minnesota because they have so much firepower, and RSL does too, but maybe not to the same extent. Not a lot of goals on hand for either one of these teams as of late. You look at what they've done coming into it. Minnesota, bad loss in Houston in the midweek.
Oh.
RSL, not a good win, not an outstanding, unbelievable win, but a good win over San Jose at home. Both are in the RSL loss, win. Minnesota draw, loss, win, loss. All over the place. Oh, I don't even know where to go with it. What are the experts saying?
Total at 2.5. The over's -175. The under +135.
Ooh, under.
Both teams
all day under.
Both teams to score. The yes is at -175.
I kind of like the no there.
Minnesota United -125. Real Salt Lake +300.
That's a nice that's a nice number on the road. Now, however, and you do have to remember this, RSL 3-8-3 on the road this season. They did win in Kansas City somewhat recently, but that's their only win in their last 6 on the road. I'm leaning draw here.
+280.
Yeah, I'm leaning draw on it. I think it's going to be a tight draw, like a 1-1, something like that. I don't know if either team has the killer instinct at the moment to put somebody away, and they need to find it because these two, along with San Jose, are the giant question marks out west right now. Seattle and the Red Bulls, 6 o'clock. Sounders, this is nuts, but it's honestly not a shock with the Roman Torres suspension, with the Chad Marshall retirement, with what their backline has become this season. They have conceded at least 3 goals in each of their last 3 home matches. Now, they've scored at least 2 goals in all of those matches as well. Doesn't help you if you're conceding 3. There have been at least 3 goals in 7 of Red Bull's last 8 on the road. So they're conceding goals too. That's not a hallmark of the Red Bulls in recent years. Feels like there's a lot of goals in it. Feels like there's a lot of chaos in it. I don't know if there is a win on the road for the Red Bulls in it. They're 4-7-3 away from Red Bull Arena. Seattle was really good at home about 2 months ago. Now they're 9-2-3. They're still very good. But they had back-to-back losses at home to Portland and into Kansas City, and they followed that up with a draw to New England. They did get a win over the Galaxy 4-3 in their last one at home. Do they do it against the Red Bulls? Or do the Red Bulls, with their backs against the wall, find something on the road? What do the experts think?
Total at 2.5. The over -211. The under +160.
I would not even think about the under in that.
Full-time result, Seattle -118. The Red Bulls and the draw are at plus 280.
That's
and
not
if you're
bad.
looking at individual folks to score, Raul Rui Diaz listed to score any time in the match at minus 138.
Well, what's the Red Bulls just to win?
Red Bulls to win plus 280.
You said to win or draw.
It's both. You have win and draw, I guess I should have said. My conjunction was incorrect.
I thought it was a combined, like if they win or draw. Okay.
No.
All right, so Red Bulls have won 2 of their last 4 on the road. They won in Orlando. They won in D.C. They lost at LAFC 4-2. They lost in Yankee Stadium 2-1. I mean, it's conceivable they get a win on the road. It is. It's not crazy talk. I don't know if that number's good enough to throw a random juice box on it, though. I don't think I really believe in Chris Armas that much in this one. I think it'll be a fun one to watch. I do think it'll be a really good national TV game to watch because it'll be chaotic. But Seattle should get the win. And again, that pressure starts to creep in because Seattle's, not really all that secure in the Western Conference at the moment. They're on 46 points, but there's so many teams around them, and you're going to have points that are acquired, before this. You've got the Minnesota RSL game right before it. You've got San Jose. Maybe if they find something on the road, then that puts a little more pressure on Seattle. You've got Portland playing before it. If Portland wins at home, like they should, they would be even with Seattle on points and same number of matches played before Seattle kicks off. It's one of those where maybe the other matches put a little extra pressure on Seattle. I think they find a way. I think it's another one of those 3-2, 4-3 crazy games that give coaches heart attacks. That's kind of where it's feeling. Final game of the weekend, LA Galaxy Sporting Kansas City, 10 o'clock on Sunday night. The Galaxy have conceded at least 2 goals in 9 of their last 10. Kansas City had ripped off 3 wins in a row before their loss in Portland. The Galaxy haven't won in their last 4. Draw at home with Seattle. Draw across town at Bank of California. Loss in Seattle 4-3. And then the loss in Colorado. But at home, the Galaxy have not lost in their last 3. The draw with Seattle, the win over Dallas, win over LAFC, lost to San Jose, going back to that one. Kansas City, is just in desperate times, so they're going to throw everything they have at it. Is the Galaxy's defense good enough? I don't know. What do the experts think about this?
Total at 2.5, the over minus 275, the under plus 210, both teams to score. A yes yields a minus 275, a no yields a plus 200. Galaxy to win plus 115. Sporting plus 190, and the draw plus 275.
Wow, they have no belief in the LA Galaxy.
Nope.
Absolutely no belief in the LA Galaxy. I don't either, but I don't know if Kansas City's good enough to take any advantage of it. That's the problem, is I don't know if they can actually do anything about it. If I had to pick something here, I'd probably go draw because they cancel each other out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not predicting anything on it because it's just such a hard one to read. Both of these teams have been so difficult. Kansas City with all the injuries, and now they're getting healthy, and it's, all right, what are they right now? And the Galaxy are just a roller coaster ride of a team. That's just how they are this season. So some interesting ones, some tough ones. Some tough ones to predict. Not any crazy numbers out there that are good, that are interesting. It's a tough weekend for the juice box purveyors, I think. I don't think this is an easy one to call.
No. So, honestly, you might try to make your hay early in the weekend because of some of the things we were talking about. And if you really have a bad start.
Really a lot of interesting ones there, though. I think the 2 most interesting games with numbers that grabbed my attention were the possibility of D.C. getting something in Portland.
Right.
And Colorado and Toronto. That's the one that I like the best. Colorado. That's my upset special of the weekend is Colorado winning in Toronto.
Upset special.
Yes, that is my what flavor would that one be? Because if it's going to be the upset special, it needs to be a good one.
Orange mango or something like that.
It would be the totally tropical juice box. That's the upset special of the week.
So your totally tropical pick of the week is either Colorado or DC United.
No, it's Colorado. It's Colorado to win.
Okay.
It's one. I'm not going to hedge my bets, and I'm not going to pick 2-1 every game like some people do.
What's your favorite food? 2-1 Atlanta United.
Yes.
Eric Schwartz won that one.
Yes. All right. We're going to take a quick break, come back and reset. Let us know what you think about the games this weekend. What is your upset special of the weekend? What is your velvet driving shoes lock of the week?
Lock of the week.
What are you thinking this weekend looking at the MLS schedule? Let us know on Twitter at SoccerDown. Here, we will be right back.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, September 13th. Getting ready for a busy weekend. We did leave one game out of all that, and we'll be talking about it a lot in hour number 2. Atlanta and Columbus live from the Benz Saturday. 7 o'clock is your scheduled start time. Kick will probably be about 7:08. And pregame for us on 92.9 The Game will start at 6:30. Pregame for us.
And pregame for us.
Tailgate show presented by Appolinsky & Associates. That will be at 3 o'clock, live from the Gulch with our friends, The Faction. What questions do we have on the Twitters? What comments? What are people thinking this morning on a Friday?
Well, first and foremost, do you want to just close the book on the Juicebox purveyors and actually, without influence, one way or the other, just give the numbers for the match that we haven't talked about yet?
Sure, if you want to.
Atlanta United minus 275. Columbus Crew plus 650. The draw option is plus 400.
That's a big number for Columbus, but Atlanta's been so good at home. I totally understand where those numbers are coming from. Yeah, that's a big one. But, yeah, Atlanta at home is a prohibitive favorite. I think they have to be. I mean, one loss this season at home to Dallas a long time ago, unbeaten in the last 11 at home. Yeah, it adds up. It definitely adds up. Columbus has got some things they can make difficult for Atlanta here, though. And we'll get into that with Mike Conti at 10 o'clock, with Doug Robertson at 10:30.
Have some carryover from folks who are listening to shows past, actually.
Sure.
And football for you and me. Hello from the past.
Hello from the future.
Yes. May your time machine function, sir. Finishing the Wednesday show, I want to put my input on the Messi situation for Miami possibly. Surprised no mention of Hamas as a possible DP.
Oh,
And I'll
I've said
throw
that
this
for
player.
months and maybe a year.
Yeah.
Like, that would be the one that I would have went for from day one, but I think it's not going to happen at this point.
And another player to throw in from football for you and me, Edison Flores of Peru. You guys talked about popularity. He's a player not only loved in Peru, but in Denmark as well for his time with Aalborg. Playing in Mexico right now for Morelia. He might need to move soon. Miami, perhaps.
So let's look at Edison Flores, who is in Mexico at the moment. Transfer marked. Let me convert to American currency. Transfer marked has him at $3.42 million. Probably just outside of a TAM deal, unless you can get him on a good deal with Morelia. And I don't know Morelia's current situation in terms of, do they need money, or could you potentially make something happen here? 25 years old. You can play on the left wing. You can also play in the right wing. You could play in the middle if you need it, but primarily on the left wing. His value has shot up over the last year or so. So there could be a possibility for a decent number. It looks like he's under contract through 2022, so you're not going to catch him coming to the end of a deal. He moved to Morelia last August. It's an interesting one. I mean, I think guys like at this level, this $3 to $7 million type of valuation from South America, I think, one, they're going to translate really well to MLS. For the most part, they're going to hit the ground running. I don't know, and this would be a question for somebody in Miami, I don't know if you're thinking about it from a marketing standpoint. I don't know what the Peruvian population in Miami is. I know that in the past, if I remember correctly, Peru's played there a good bit. You had Peruvian legend Cubillas play with the Fort Lauderdale Strikers for a number of years. I think he still lives in South Florida, actually. So maybe, I mean, there could be some potential there. And that's the type of number that's not a crazy deal. It's doable. I just don't know how willing Morelia would be to sell. And that's the question I would have about it. 13 goals and 47 caps for Peru. Could be a good one. And not being at a top club in Mexico, there could be some willingness to sell, that's for sure. It's a different type of move. I mean, it's not a James or a Messi kind of move, obviously, because those transcend just the action on the field. I don't think Flores would do that, but would he be a good signing for the league? Yeah, absolutely.
Don't forget, everybody, to vote for the Bailey Daily, which is up. Go to @JBailey86, brought to us by our friends at Steve Apolinsky and Associates, the Bailey Cup. I think if Doug gets it right and the rest of us don't, he actually clinches, be the earliest clinch for the Bailey Cup in the history of the Cupness.
That's good work from Doug.
His early season pessimism worked out for him.
Yes.
So once again, Atlanta wins by 2 or more, it wins by 1 or draw, or Atlanta loses. Go to @JBailey86. Let everybody know what you're thinking. Daniel Price with a prediction. 3-0 Atlanta United. Joseph gets a hattie to keep up the consecutive scoring, going to catch up to Vela for the Golden Boot.
That's bold. I think Columbus will make it more difficult than that, but I do think Joseph will find a way to get a goal.
Then Eichmann with a prediction, Atlanta United 2, Crew 1, and that's how he's looking at it.
Okay.
Shiva, I'm having a hard time with this one. It's our first game back after a long break. The Crew can take advantage of our lack of match rhythm the first 30 minutes and score on us. We also don't have Barco, and our attack does not look as dynamic without Barco. I may be in total minority, but I'm going draw.
I think you are in the minority there, and I think the Crew will have problems with the rhythm as well. They haven't exactly been lighting it up either, and I don't see them as a team who's all of a sudden going to just play direct or find it and be difficult or keep it simple. Like, that doesn't really fit them. So I don't know how they look after the break. Last week and early this week when players were away, they had like 10 players available for training, first team players. They were pulling up academy kids and doing that. So it's tough. That's what these games can be, and it's what teams all around the world face. I mean, you have two sides of the coin. Like, if you play through the break, you're going to be missing players. You're going to have some challenges there with fielding a team. If you don't play through the break, then when you come back, you're trying to find your rhythm again. So I think Atlanta will be okay in that regard because they didn't have that many players away. They were able to train in a fairly normal fashion, and I think that will help them. And Columbus not having that opportunity to hurt them. And John has disappeared. 1 second, and we'll get John back on. Maybe he is back now.
It crashed. Yeah,
John's back. All right. One thing, too, before we take a quick break and reset with more questions. I know that Eichmann mentioned it, and I know it's been mentioned a lot, and I know it's been a conversation all around the place. Resurgence has made it clear that they are going to not do their turn on the capo stand or not lead cheers in their 15 minutes on the stand in the first half. That would be the last 15 minutes of the first half. There's been a lot of consternation all around the place about it, and I understand that. I totally get it. I think that Resurgence, and along with the other supporters groups who have expressed support for it, they've done it in as respectful of a way as it can be done, because they're not demanding that everybody else follow along. They're not honestly saying much in that way at all. They're saying, we're going to do this, and if you choose to support, great. If you don't, that's fine too. So I think the uproar is a little much. If you agree with the stance, cool. Support it. If you don't, do your thing. It's fine. I think the yelling about it has been a bigger deal than anything else, and it's kind of missing the point. So do you, and choose to be a supporter and be a fan and do your thing in whatever way you want to. That's where I would say. I mean, nobody's making anybody do anything. So I don't think it's as big of a deal in terms of getting upset about it as that's been played out. Do your thing. You got the choice. Be in the stands and support the way you want to support, and that's all good.
And for me, that's pretty much how I would address it. You do you. Just, whatever your stance is whatever your stance is, and if you choose to participate and be a part of it, then go for it. And if you don't, then once again, that's the beautiful part about this experiment that we have here in this country is that what's the song lyric from Free Will from Rush? If you still choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. So there you go.
The thing that I hope people can get away from, and it's been all over the place, is do your thing, and if somebody disagrees on whatever level, just let it be. Just do your thing, and you've all got the opportunity to do that tomorrow night in whatever way you want. So it will be okay. It's not the end of the world in either way, any which way. It'll be all right. Relax. Stop yelling on Reddit and Facebook, because good grief, it's getting out of hand.
Let's see. We got more stuff. You want to go to break?
One more before we go to break.
Eric Schwartz. 2-1 Atlanta United. Correct, Eric. Yes. With both the first team and the artists, formerly known as G Unit, playing this weekend, can we come to an agreement on the pluralization of Atlanta United for the style guide?
You
I
can't.
propose Atlanta's United, like Attorneys General or Coles de Sac.
No, you can't. You can't pluralize it. It's one that you can't. It's Atlanta United squads. It's Atlanta United teams. It's Atlanta United 11s. It's Atlanta United whatevers. It can't be Atlanta's United or Atlanta United's. It's elements of Atlanta United. Atlanta United is the club, so I think it's one that you can't pluralize. You say Atlanta United squads. That's where I would go.
Because it's the term that addresses the collective of the entire umbrella, yeah?
Yes, that's my grammatical decision on it. That definitely does not hold any water whatsoever.
And Katie Weaver says, muchas frañas.
Many stripes. But you see,
Yes.
that doesn't work either. So it's got to be Atlanta United teams, squads, whatever. The Atlanta United part has to be the same. That's my guess. I don't know. We're going to take a break. More questions from you guys, more comments right after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, September 13th edition. More comments, more questions from the Twitters right now.
Yes. Well, Daniel Price has Prize Picks. That's in hour number 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fantasy and Prize Picks, hour number 2, after Doug Robertson makes his Velvet Driving Slipper Lock of the Week prediction that will, in his mind, hopefully assure him of the Bailey Daily Cup for year 3. Andy Hollums was listening to Paul Tenorio, and Tenorio said that Miles Robinson has a ways to go in terms of, quote, on the ball, end quote, skills. When people say that, would they be including passing? Because no center back in the pool right now is better at controlling the ball under pressure.
I don't know where that's coming from. Where did Paul Tenorio say that, by the way? Is it said in the tweet? Because I'm curious.
No, it is
as to
not.
context.
So Andy, if you can relay where you heard Tenorio say it.
That feels like a not 19. It feels like it's that old. Like a 2018 end of the season, very beginning of 2019 comment. It really, truly does. Because if you're watching Miles Robinson on a regular basis, you are seeing that there is nothing to worry about with his ability on the ball. I'm actually going to pull up a couple of things real quick. So, Miles Robinson 58.7 passes per match. I'm looking at compared to other center backs. That puts him in the top 25. Yeah, he's 21. Well, that's actually not even out of just regulars. Let's get guys who have appeared more than half of the time, so more than 15 times. And let's rerun it. So Miles is 9th in passes per game in center backs in the league. Who's ahead of him? Hedges, Callens, Youngworth, Kasia, Schweinsteiger, LGP, Beasler, and Ziegler. Okay. Let's look at let me see if I can get the passing percentage here. And no, I'll have to go and do a different spot. Okay, so let me go to Miles' other numbers. Is he completing a bunch of longer passes? No, he's not. The LGP's playing that, so we haven't really seen that out of Miles. Don't know if it is something that he would be able to do a lot of if LGP wasn't doing it. He's completing his passes at 86.5%. Yeah, he's playing a lot of, simple passes to keep the play moving. But what we're also starting to see is Miles stepping up into the team to either beat somebody on the dribble or create a little bit of space for a pass. He's created some opportunities as kind of a second or third pass in a chain where he split the lines with passes. That's happening more and more frequently. So I completely disagree with the comment that was, I want to get the right quote from Tenorio. He has a lot of work to do.
Has a ways to go in terms of, quote, on the ball, end quote, skills.
No, that's 100% incorrect. He doesn't have a ways to go. Can he improve? Yes. And he needs to continue to improve in those areas, for sure. As just about every player for the national team as a defender needs to do to play in Greg Berhalter's system. Yeah, absolutely. Ways to go? No, that's incorrect. That's outdated. It's an outdated comment.
All right, we're officially caught up on the Twitters. Mike Conti joining us at the top of the hour and at 10:30 for his normal visit. Doug Robertson of the AJC for predictions, analysis, and all that kind of stuff. What else is on your mind as we finish hour number one?
Well, we haven't had a chance because we've been so busy as of late with all of the stuff happening in the soccer world, but there are 4 very wide-ranging birthdays in the music world that we have to touch on. Like,
okay.
Running the gamut in the music. So the earliest one, born on this day in 1944, Peter Cetera, your favorite.
Chicago 17, solid album. Underrated singles, and you and I went through his solo career on the drive up to the Fraction the other day.
No, it was the drive up to Pizzeria Zuri.
Pizzeria Zuri.
Which was like 5 hours of driving because of traffic and, because it's in like southern Tennessee. But anyway, love you guys. Peter Cetera, the best song he did was Glory of Love from the Karate Kid 2. I'm not going to argue about this.
Yeah, no, for me, underrated was One Good Woman off of the follow-up album.
Glory Love kills it all. 1961, born on this day, Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. Do you know who Megadeth is?
Maybe. I know Megadeth, but I wouldn't be able to pick out a tune.
I was never a huge fan. They felt kind of second-rate to Metallica, which I guess they pretty much were. I do remember when they kind of got hot there for a minute and they did a reworking of Goldberg's theme in WCW, and it was not good. It didn't work. It was bad.
Why you want to do something like that, man?
It was bad because they got paid to do it. That's why. Born on this day in 1977, Fiona Apple.
Once again, someone who I would probably remember if you pulled out a track and go, that's Fiona Apple. Oh, okay.
You don't
but
know Fiona
someone.
Apple?
Well, I know Fiona Apple. I just won't. I couldn't necessarily sit there and say I know a bunch of her songs.
Do you know any of her songs?
Not off the top of my head.
Man, Criminal, Shadow Boxer was a great song. Her first album was a great album. And Criminal's probably my least favorite of her singles. That's her biggest hit, though, I think. Shadow Boxer and Sleep to Dream are my two favorites of Fiona Apple.
I'll take your word for it.
And I know you have no idea who this is, probably. Swiss Beats, born on this day in 1978.
I have heard of Swizz, but once again, if you were
what
to...
have you heard of Swizz?
That's
what
the thing.
You know?
It's like if you sat there and you pulled a tune and sat there and said, okay, this is the biggest tune of Swizz, I could say, okay, I've heard that.
Just tell me what you know about Swiss Beats. What is he? Who is he?
Virtually nothing.
Well, I mean, like you gotta tell me who he is. Like, what does he do?
I would imagine he is probably in the rap hip hop genre.
He's a producer, mostly.
Oh, okay.
First off,
okay.
He has done a few things on his own, but he is a classic producer. He has crossed over into pop and R&B. Net worth
in 2017 of $65 million, and he married Alicia Keys.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so now you're interested because he's worth a lot of money and he married Alicia Keys.
Well, no, I'm doing research during the segment.
Let's see. My favorite Swiss Beats tracks that he produced. Rough Riders Anthem is probably my number one because that track is unbelievable. Did a bunch of stuff with Jay-Z. Did Bring 'Em Out for T.I., which everybody knows. That's a classic Swiss Beats kind of track.
Oh, Bring 'Em Out, Bring 'Em Out, Bring 'Em Out, that one?
Yeah. Yes, that one.
Okay.
Exactly that one. Yeah, I'll take Rough Riders Anthem and Bring 'Em Out. Oh, and he did Got a Man, but from Eve too. I forgot about that one. That's a really good track as well. He had a very distinctive sound, and that's what kind of got him noticed. I think maybe branching out from that sound has been a little difficult, but he has left his mark, and he has really killed it in a lot of ways, and that's why he's worth a lot of money.
And apparently he divulged that he just bought Tony Stark's mansion.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
On an interview on Power 105.1, stopped by the Angie Martinez show promoting Godfather of Harlem. And he also has bought the Tony Stark's mansion from the Iron Man movies.
Well, there you go. Swiss Beats.
New home.
He's got that kind of cash.
$20.8 million. It has been a dream home for Swizzy, according to Power 105.1.
Yes. Yes, he is also known as Swizzy. This is true. While John still reads more about Swiss Beats, we're going to take a break. We'll get Mike Conti on the line, and we'll talk to him about Atlanta and Columbus right after this.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here. Mike Conti bursts through the door and has to educate John on Swiss Beats. I like it.
Well, I was just concerned that John may have been in a coma during the years 2004 to 06. Because Swiss Beats, they were like the production soundtrack for even a lot of commercials and sporting events and things back in that period of the last decade. So I'm a little concerned about John here to hear this.
Yeah, we do the musical birthdays or album or single released on this day to try to educate. You know, that's the whole idea here. We're trying to catch him up a little bit.
Trying to educate and inform, correct?
Yes, of course. Yeah. That's the idea.
And some days the education and information takes a lot longer than others.
Yes. John will need another break to continue going through the Swiss Beats catalog.
In John's defense, I mean, we're all kind of in the same boat right now. You guys have got a lot of Atlanta United 2 going on right now. John's got high school football going on. I've got the Hawk season starting to ramp up. So, time management is becoming very complicated for all of us. So I'm going to give John a little bit of a pass.
So is cloning.
Yeah, that would be nice. Although I don't think we need a second Mike Conti roaming around, all the bartenders and fried food purveyors in Metro Atlanta. Don't need a second one of me.
But if it's an evil Mike Conti with a goatee, that would be interesting.
Oh, maybe I'm the evil one already, and there's a good one, or with a goatee that's walking around town who's a kinder, gentler version of me.
See, I feel like now we've gone into that Knight Rider section where we had the evil Kit. You had Carr and Kit and the David Hasselhoff with the goatee and the mustache. That's what we're getting into now.
Man, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's push into some Atlanta Columbus talk because
please.
This is an interesting one on Saturday night. Columbus is better than they were earlier in the season, and it feels like they're building for 2020 in a pretty good way. Only one loss in their last 6, but only one win in their last 6. They're getting results. They're just not exactly completely there yet. I don't think it's going to be an easy one tomorrow night.
No, I mean, I don't think any match in MLS is easy. And Atlanta United has seen that this year. I mean, if you look at their performance against the bottom of the table, it's not dramatically better than their performance against the top of the table. So, yeah, I mean, let's look at their last 6 matches. They're 1-1-4. Okay. Now let's look at who they played. Having 2 matches against Cincinnati in that span helps. Having a match against Chicago in that span helps. They did get a home draw to Toronto. It's pretty good. Got a road draw at San Jose. That's really good. And their loss was to New York City, but it was only 1-0. And it was at Yankee Stadium. So I think they are pretty much who their record shows they are. In this span of their last 6 matches. They're a 500 team. The thing about a match like this, Jason, is, I have a lot of respect for Columbus, and they've played Atlanta United tough, and they beat them this year, but that was kind of a BS match because of, the conditions and everything. If Atlanta United wants to think of themselves as a legitimate MLS Cup contender again this year, and a contender to be the number 1 seed in the East this year, this is a match where you have to win. No excuses. Not having Barco complicates things a little bit. I don't think it's a death blow, but it complicates things a little bit. But you got to go out there and get this done. You still have 3 road matches coming up, and it's not easy to win on the road in MLS, regardless of where you play. I know Cincinnati and Montreal are two of those road matches, but you don't have a margin for error right now if you want to be the number one seed. You're going to get it if you win out, but anything short of that opens the door for New York City and Philadelphia. So you've seen them twice this year in Columbus. You beat them in Open Cup. You lost in a water polo match that should have been abandoned. You got to beat these guys. And, I'll be curious to see players like Zardes and Trapp, who are coming off work during the international break where they have to play for the U.S. men's national team. I don't think fitness will be a question, but I think Atlanta United is going to be fresher than Columbus, even though Columbus did not play a league match since August 31st as well.
Well, and Mike, you look at schedule compression and everything else going on, but once again, Barco not being engaged this weekend, you're thinking long-term past this weekend because you're going to need him for Cincinnati and beyond. Well, but that's why, once again, the roster is constructed the way that it was. So you can have different approaches with what Frank DeBoer wants to do with all the guys contributing, and we've seen this full-blown contribution from the entire roster this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's look at the Barco situation a little more realistically now. If he didn't even train this week, I don't think you have him starting in Cincinnati. I think at best maybe you have him available off the bench. I mean, we've talked about this before. He will have not played in, 3 or 4 weeks by the time you get to that Cincinnati-San Jose stretch next week. So he's not going to just immediately come back into the starting lineup. And I think Frank DeBoer kind of hinted at that yesterday that, he's close. It's not a severe injury, but we have to be careful with so much still in front of us. Opportunities for Justin Merrim and Dion Pereira. Merrim is an interesting one for tomorrow, and it's something that Jason and I debated off the air on Wednesday. I understand Merrim's back and he's training and he's making a public appearance tonight and everything, but Justin Merrim at the start of this week was in Saudi Arabia playing for the Iraqi national team. And that's a lot of travel. That's a lot to ask. And you've got more travel coming up with your club on Tuesday. It's short flight to Cincinnati, but you still have to travel. I wouldn't be shocked if Justin Merrim was in the 18 but not starting tomorrow, which might create an opportunity for Dion Pereira. I think the bigger question is who's going to be your central attacking midfielder? Is it going to be Emerson Hyndman? Do you push Nagby up like you did in Salt Lake City? It didn't really work that well, but it's an option. Is there a column C where maybe you switch the formation entirely and get out of the 3-5-2 and maybe make Pity Martinez your central attacking midfielder? So I think there are some real lineup questions here, but you kind of hoped that you would be able to rotate a tad bit during this stretch here, this 3-game and 8-day stretch with Columbus tomorrow, with Cincinnati on Wednesday and San Jose on Saturday. You're going to have to rotate in the back because Leandro is suspended tomorrow. But with Barco being out, it kind of limits your options a little bit. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it is something to keep an eye on because things do add up. 6 matches in 22 days is going to add up. And I'm going to be curious to see how Atlanta United kind of weathers it from a selection standpoint starting tomorrow.
I think when you get these issues with travel and international play, sometimes we might overreact a little bit as to where the energy level is going to be for Justin Merrim after that travel. I think with 2 games in a short period of time, he can't play 180 in this weekend and Cincinnati. I think he's probably 120 max, more likely like 90 minutes. So this is where your sports science department really comes into play. Is it better for him to play Saturday and then maybe not even make the trip to Cincinnati, or to go ahead and get the extra rest here, play in Cincinnati, and then where is he for San Jose? I almost lean to, and a lot of it depends on his feel too, if he feels good, play him here, and then give Pereira the game in Cincinnati, and let him rest up for a week before San Jose.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's almost like he's got some momentum. So take advantage of it while his engine is still on.
Every player's different, and every player's body is different. So a lot of it is down to how he is feeling personally. But in a perfect world, I think that might be the better approach. You just can't look at somebody coming off of that travel for, 270 minutes over the next 3 games. I don't think he's got that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's not a knock on Justin Merrim. I mean, it's just they've thrown a lot at him, and he's played a ton since he got to Atlanta too. In fact, if we were to look at, minutes played and matches played since his arrival, I'm going to guess that it's probably him, Nagbe, and Miles Robinson as the 3 players that have played the most minutes since mid-May when he got here. I'd have to look that up to make sure. But, we'll see. And by the way, I feel really good about Dion Pereira getting a spot start if he needs to. I think you could play Emerson Heineman on the left if you had to. I don't think Frank is going to get out of the 3-5-2 just because Mira might be a little tired and Barco's out. I think you can get through it, without having to make a radical
Pereira
change.
And Bello, I think you've got possibilities if you need to give him a little bit of a break here.
Honestly, Bello's the one that concerns me more from the standpoint of travel because he came back from Holland yesterday, I think. And I don't know if he's trained with the first team at all since at least late August. So I don't know. You're right that Bello would be a big help in this situation. No question about it. It would be a big help. But I would tell you that would be a surprise to me. If he showed up in the 18 tomorrow, that would be a surprise.
Tomorrow, no, I don't think so. I think it's Merrim tomorrow. It's more like the Cincinnati game is one that if it's Pereira and Bello in the 18 and 1 starts, that wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, and I don't think that let's be clear. We're not saying this because we're looking at Cincinnati as a weak opponent against which you can tinker. Nope. We're saying this because Cincinnati's the road game.
If this were in the sequence,
if this were a road game in Chicago or Dallas or Houston or Orlando or so, we'd be having the same conversation. It has absolutely nothing to do with Cincinnati.
When it comes to this stretch of 6, Mike, who else off the beaten track, the more foot soldiery kind of player as opposed to the stars and shiny objects, are you looking forward to possibly seeing the most in this run of 6 that comes up in a really short period of time? I know we've mentioned Dion Pereira. Who else might be in that category of guys that you'd like to see as the team gets ready in this last push to get ready for the postseason?
I'll go way, way off the board. Brandon Vasquez is someone that I think we're going to see in that second striker role somewhere in this final stretch of 6 matches. And some of it might depend on, if you're in must-win situations, if you got some things locked up. For whatever reason, and again, this is something I'm going to have to go back and look up. I'm just saying this off the top of my head, kind of a gut feel. It feels like Pity Martinez has not played a ton of 90-minute matches in a row this year. And that might just be coincidental. It might be situational. It might have to do with a lot of things. But I do wonder if they would look at one of these midweek matches, and I don't think it would be New York City. It would probably be Cincinnati, as an opportunity where they might be able to buy Pitti a little bit of a rest, maybe bring him off the bench or sub him out early, and put Brandon Vasquez in a position where he can play as your second striker, and maybe for a longer run out. Sounds like he's training with the team again. Obviously you guys saw him the other night. I think Vasquez is going to get an opportunity to play. Now, can he find that form that he was in late June, early July? Or is that going to take a while? We don't know. But I'd like to see him get the opportunity. And quite frankly, I don't necessarily know, John, if you can consider anyone on the first team right now to be kind of off the board foot soldiery because everyone seems to be playing right now in some way. So that wouldn't really be an Emerson Heineman or a Dion Pereira or someone like that. Brandon Vasquez is someone who's had a little bit of a delay getting back on the pitch, but it just feels like there's going to be an opportunity for him to play here pretty soon.
To answer your question, Mike, the most that PT has done 90 minutes in a streak has been 2 matches.
Yeah.
And it was the LA match and NYC, both home matches where he played 90 on August 3rd and August 11th, and he came back and played 88 against Portland.
And he had a week between those matches. And then, I don't remember how long he went in Campione's Cup before coming back and playing in Portland. And again, I mean, I might be overthinking it a little bit. I have the feeling we're going to see Brandon Vasquez down the stretch here. And I look forward to that because he's someone who's made the most of his opportunities this year. And I hope that continues because he should be building confidence with the way he's been playing.
So we have an update, Mike, on your favorite bit of the off season coming up.
Okay.
The expansion draft.
Do we have an expansion draft siren, or are we just doing jazz hands for expansion draft?
We need something. We're just going to get, all I know is the little sounder on the Spreaker studio board. It looks like an evil person.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I can work. That kind of feels expansion drafty. All right. So Michelle Kaufman with the Miami Herald has this. MLS has not posted anything yet. It's a little different than it's been. So MLS Cup will be on November 10th.
Okay.
Keep that in mind. Typically, the expansion draft has been, the Tuesday afterwards?
The Tuesday after, yeah.
Not the case now. It's going to be a little pushed back. So, according to Michelle Kaufman at the Miami Herald, the coin flip to determine the number 1 pick in the expansion draft and all the priority stuff, it's actually a coin flip to determine your choices for where you want to pick first between the expansion draft, the super draft, I think the waiver draft, the reentry draft, all the chaos of Major League Soccer.
All the chaos drafting.
It is the MLS expansion priority draft, and that will happen on October 6th. That is part of Decision Day. Okay.
All right. Then, I really like that, by the way.
That's cool.
That's
I'm good with that
really
part.
Cool. I love
I
that.
like it. The eligible players list will be released on November 16th.
Okay.
So that's just less than a week from after MLS Cup. And then the draft will be on November 19th. So a little spaced out. Now, we don't know, and it's not in the article, we don't know if there will be that crazy trade window the morning after MLS Cup. Don't know what the timeline is for the waiver stuff, the reentry stuff, all of that, because Miami and Nashville will be grabbing players during that as well.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the list will officially come out on the 16th, but I think there will be a general idea and communication between the clubs and the expansion clubs about, hey, look, we're going to make these guys available. I think in the case of the Cincinnati expansion draft last year, I mean, obviously there was contact between Cincinnati and Atlanta over the Greg Garza thing, possibly before the list of exposed players even came out. So
now, one thing that's a little different here is in Kaufman's article, she says that each current MLS team can protect up to 12 players from the eligible players list. That's a little different. And I'm not sure if it's just a little bit in clunkiness in the way it's written or, just lack of experience in dealing with these expansion drafts as we've seen many, many years. But typically it's been 11, and they haven't released an eligible players list that can be protected first. It's just you get the day before the draft who's been protected, and then you know who's available. So maybe they're tweaking some of the process around it, but Kaufman says they can protect up to 12.
You would think with more teams selecting than last year that it would actually be a smaller number of protected players. But, I mean, who knows?
We'll see.
Look, here's the bottom line. No one's going to get rated in the expansion draft. I know that's a fear every year, and we've heard it here in Atlanta. There's this fear that Atlanta United's going to get raided by Miami and Nashville in the expansion draft. It really does not happen that way. It's going to be an interesting expansion draft because the CBA is unresolved. And there could be some strategy in play with some clubs pertaining to that and who they expose and who they don't expose. But I got to tell you, I love the idea of it. Almost feels like a draft lottery. I know it's not, but if it's a drawing of lots to determine who's going to pick first in expansion, who's going to pick first in super draft. I love doing that on decision day. The NBA does their draft lottery in the middle of a playoff game. I love that. It gives people a reason to tune in. I will give the league credit. That's a very, very smart idea.
So then if you're looking at the polyglot of draft options and you get that first, you get that first chip and you're number one, where do you go?
Expansion.
If you're
all the expansion. Yeah. Well, it depends though. Because if I'm Miami, I probably want super draft because Miami is going out and they're spending money on veterans in other parts of the world. If I'm Nashville, I definitely want expansion because they haven't made the same kind of, they've made a few, but they haven't really made, the same kind of splashy veteran signings that Miami has already pursued. So if it were me, I would always go expansion because you can get a really, really nice player who can come in and contribute immediately in the expansion draft. In the super draft, I mean, you can get a nice player, but you're going to have to develop them. It's a little more of a question. I like having known quantities when I'm building a club.
So if you flash back to 2016, Atlanta did win the coin toss in the expansion priority draft, and they chose expansion draft. And then Minnesota took the super draft next, and then it went down to allocation order and priority rankings and such. The allocation order one that's interesting, though, that was Atlanta's next pick. That's how they got Brad Kazan.
Right. Do you remember who Atlanta used the first expansion draft pick on?
I do. It was a setup trade because the first expansion pick was Donnie Toya, who was immediately shipped to Orlando for the number 8 pick in the super draft.
Which became Julian Gressel.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that worked out pretty well for Atlanta United.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we'll see. And then the other thing is the expansion draft a snake draft or is it alternating picks?
I think that's alternating picks.
I think it's alternating picks.
Yeah, if it were a snake draft, then actually having the number 2 pick isn't that bad because you have 2 of the first 3 picks. Honestly, guys, I mean, the expansion draft is a little bit of choreography anyway. It's not really a true draft where they sit in a war room and the commissioner comes up and announces picks. I mean,
Minnesota sat in a really nice trailer.
They did. That is true. But a lot of, pretty much all of it, is determined before, they even go on the air at MLSsoccer.com and announce it in whatever way. I mean, a lot of that is choreography. Everything's kind of done way in advance.
And, you remember the legends of Atlanta United Hall of Fame goalkeepers Clint Irwin and Sean Johnson through situations like this.
Yeah.
But getting back to the match this weekend, is there one thing that worries you the most about Columbus above all else?
Well, if you want stoppage time on Wednesday, I thought Jason on the whiteboard did a pretty good job of explaining how.
Oh, congratulations on hitting 100, by the way.
Yeah. Surprisingly, no cake, pie, and ice cream for us. But anyhow, I thought Jason did a really, really good job of explaining how, Columbus might try to overload the right a little bit. If they do, that would be a challenge for Atlanta's left without Barco and potentially without Justin Meram. We don't know. But also showing that there's going to be space for Atlanta United if they can play some long diagonals. Problem is without Leandro, Leandro is probably your best ball striker when it comes to long diagonals. Gressel can do it too, obviously. We've seen him on his crosses to Joseph, but I'm talking about more out of the back, the long diagonals. Not having LGP is going to hurt. I think we're dwelling a lot on Barco being out. I think Leandro being out could be very significant because Franco Escobar has been very inconsistent this year, and Atlanta United's going to have to count on him big time in the same way that they counted on him in the postseason last year. He might have been their best player in the postseason. He has not found that form yet. Here's an opportunity now. If he starts at right center back, and I think he will, with Miles in the middle and then Pogba as your left center back, Franco's got to be that guy. He's got to be that guy who can play some long diagonals and pick out those spaces that Columbus will give you. I think it's going to be a good match. I think Atlanta should win. If Atlanta United does not win, it's a massive disappointment. You like I said at the very beginning of this, you have no margin for error right now in the East. You're in good shape if you win out, but you don't have any margin for error. You can't be dropping points to Columbus and Cincinnati during this span. These have got to be your automatic 3-point matches. Then you give yourself maybe a little bit of wiggle room going into Yankee Stadium, going into San Jose, which will be tough, going into Montreal, which I think will be tough. You absolutely cannot afford to drop points here, but Columbus will make this very, very difficult. I don't think it's an easy 3, and that's kind of what scares me about tomorrow.
Yeah, there's definitely some challenges that Columbus can present, and their attack with Luis Diaz coming in off of his first cap for Costa Rica, with Harrison Offal bombing forward down the right side, with Pedro Santos in the best form that he has been in Columbus. It's not easy. And Jossy Zardes, for all the comments that get made about Jossy Zardes, this is a guy who generally puts up double-digit goals in Major League Soccer. He's not an easy forward to deal with.
And frequently scores against Atlanta United, too.
He has done that.
So, again, look, I mean, what happened up in March was a disgrace to the sport. I don't take much out of that, but I do take a lot out of what happened in June. And that was another match up in Mapfre in Open Cup with both teams playing pretty much first-choice lineups. Atlanta didn't have Joseph, but Atlanta United really struggled to put that match away. They got out to a good start, and they struggled to put it away. I do take something out of that. And it could be a similar type of match on Saturday. I hope the atmosphere is great. I know it's a full-capacity stadium. I hope it's loud. You'll have plenty of time to get back from Athens and to get back from the flats, to get into the Gulch and tailgate. Everyone's got an early kickoff. No excuses. Let's get this building packed because to get this final stretch of 6 matches in 22 days started on a positive note is going to be very, very important for this team.
Yeah, big opportunity to get the ball rolling in the right way. What are our broadcast plans for the Peeps?
Our broadcast plans are 6:30 for the Five Stripes Countdown. We're going to have to rename that pregame show next year, by the way. But 6:30 for the Five Stripes Countdown.
Oh, we need a new name? Do we need to workshop this?
Yeah, they really aren't the Five Stripes anymore.
So don't be that guy.
Nah, I'm not hearing too many people call them that anymore.
It has slipped a little bit.
That'll give you something for the final half hour of the show to discuss.
Totally.
But 6:30 for the pregame show, 7 o'clock the kickoff on 92.9 The Game and the Atlanta United app and radio.com.
All right, Mike, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Looking forward to it.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll get Doug Robertson on the line, talk more Atlanta Columbus right after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Getting ready for Atlanta and Columbus now that we're back in the swing of things with Major League Soccer and Atlanta United. Let's get Doug Robertson back on the line, tearing him away from the back nine, correct?
Yep, the back nine.
And it's a pretty good day on the course for you, isn't it?
It is. Well, my air conditioning is broken in my house, and it has been for the past 2 days and will be until Monday. So I figured I'd come out and play some golf.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout. That's not a good time for the air conditioner to decide to quit on you.
And the whole thing just crapped out. The compressor, the fan, everything. So how it goes.
So at some point in this segment, can you actually hit a shot on the air?
I can. I don't know if I want to.
I don't know if I want him to. He's scoring well. I'm not going to have a hand in Doug's round going into the tank. No, I'm not going to do that. We will keep Doug on course here for a good score. What are you looking at for this one with Columbus? Columbus is a weird team to read. They're better. It was a good test in the Open Cup, but Atlanta was able to go up there and win at Montfrey. They couldn't earlier in the monsoon and water polo match. Columbus is a better team, though. I don't think it'll be an easy match tomorrow night.
No, I don't think it'll be an easy match. Columbus does have some talent. Harrison Awful, whatever you think of Giazzi's Artists and Will Trapp, they're well suited for Columbus. They just can't get points this year. The defense has been a little bit of a mess. I'm still not quite sure why they loaned out Abu Bakar to Colorado. I thought he was a pretty good defender. But it's one of those that if Atlanta United can get up early, then I think they can see the game out pretty easily, but they got to get up early.
So when you're looking at Atlanta United in this stretch, and I asked Mike this question in the previous segment, for all of these matches in this short period of time, away from the players that we always focus on, is there somebody that you're looking forward to seeing out there for one reason or another more than we might have seen them so far this season? Mike mentioned Brandon Vasquez as a guy who he'd like to maybe get some more run in this next 3 weeks. Is there anybody in your mind that you would like to see more of as the team gets ready for a postseason?
Players I'd like to see more of or players I think we'll see more of?
Let's do both.
Okay. Players I'd like to see more of, I'd love to see more Vasquez. I thought he was sensational in the very short window between injuries that he got to play. Players that I think we'll see more of would be nobody. I think you're going to see most of the same group of 14 over and over and over again until it's either mathematically impossible for Atlanta United to get the first seed or they have it because of some other bizarreness. But I think Frank is going to stick with the core because these are the guys that he's shown he trusts, and the stakes right now are pretty high.
Yeah, they are, and that's what makes this one a little tricky when you look at the other teams around them in the Eastern Conference this weekend. Philadelphia has a very difficult one with LAFC coming to town, but we don't know at what level of strength LAFC is because the Carlos Vela conversation has been pretty muted in terms of his hamstring injury recovery. And
I did see a tweet earlier this week that he returned to training on Monday.
Okay, so that's good news for them. We'll see if they can find it because they have not won in their last 3, and going into Philadelphia won't be easy for them. NYC has San Jose coming to town, who we'll see next weekend here in Atlanta. That could be a chaotic match on the small field at Yankee Stadium.
Especially with San Jose's playing style.
Yeah, bumper cars is what I described it as earlier.
Yeah, there's going to be at least one red card in that match, particularly if MLS refereeing continues to be as bad as it has been the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, okay, you open that door. Let's talk about that for a second because there have been a few calls in the last week and the one at Yankee Stadium last weekend and the one in Colorado this midweek that could have a big hand in who makes the playoffs and who doesn't.
Yeah, I thought both calls were just horrendously bad. The one in Colorado, nobody touched the kid. I've watched it. I was listening to Jason Davis talk about it on his show yesterday, and he and Emily were trying to figure out where the contact was, and there was no contact. The guy thought he was going to get hit, and so he went down, but nobody touched him. The one in New England versus NYCFC, also just a horrible call, and two horrible calls in that game. The first red card, which was later rescinded, was a horrible call, and then the second penalty and the dying moments was also a horrible call.
I think the second penalty might have been correct. That one wasn't as bad.
I disagree. There has to be an allowance for the defender to be able to try for the ball. And he dad bod, which is what I call him, went for the ball, missed the ball, but didn't hit the player. He slid across the player. The player jumped over him. The player's trailing leg caught Farrell's leg. That's not a foul on Farrell. That's just incidental contact. Just because the guys touch each other in the box doesn't mean it has to be a foul.
No, I can see it that way.
It's ridiculous.
I thought Farrell slid into with the second leg more. That's
the guy slid over.
And it was
the
one
guy
that from
skipped over him.
Yeah, it's a tough one because watching it live, I totally get why it wasn't called live. Because from behind, I thought there's absolutely no contact. From the other side, I thought he slid into him from the other angle. It's a tough judgment. But
it wasn't clear and obvious, that's for sure. It was not a clear and obvious error
that's a
to
valid
not call
point.
it a foul.
That's an absolutely valid point because it is still a judgment call. That call doesn't even feel like on the same plane as the other two, though. And that's what's crazy about it, is that would be a controversial call anytime. The other two, the first red card, the first call, because once you made the foul call, you had to go red because it's DOGSO. The call itself is the problem. And then the penalty in Colorado, I mean, both are beyond bad, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, and this I don't think that the CBA between the MLSPA and MLS can include PRO and standards for officiating. I don't think that covers that legally, but the league has got to do something. If it can overpay to get some referees out of England, out of Germany, out of Italy, out of Mexico, and bring them to Major League Soccer, they got to do that because the current talent pool, with a few exceptions, has just not been consistently quality enough. When you're striving for parity, and I've said this many times, when you're striving for parity, you have to have consistency with every other element. And the refereeing has been so inconsistent and so bad, I think it's hard to have that parity. True parity.
One of the interesting things that I stumbled across was apparently, and this is from Dylan Butler, that an MLS ref has the option to answer the pool reporter questions face-to-face. Chris Penso did not with NYC in Toronto. Alan Kelly did not, but Fotis Bazakos did. Have you ever had a referee answer pool reporter questions to you face-to-face before?
I'm trying to remember. I've had a reporter, an official come to the door to take the questions. Atlanta United has done it differently this year because if you do the pool reporter thing, you basically lose out on getting to talk to the manager or the players because of the time that it takes.
Right.
And so Atlanta United is doing it differently this year than it did last year. I don't know about the other teams. I don't remember talking to one face-to-face. And I wasn't aware of that option.
Because I know you've submitted a question before because we talked about it last year at one point.
Yeah, I've done it a few times and on the road too.
Yeah, I don't know
but
if
I
they've
don't think I've ever
to
spoken to one face-to-face.
in one that you've been involved in. Not that I remember.
I've got an ugly mug, so that could be part of the reason why. I don't blame them.
They see it's you at the door. They're like, oh, no, we're not talking to this guy.
Like,
but yeah, I just found it.
Is that a homeless guy covering soccer? What the heck is going on?
But no, I thought it was interesting that apparently Fotis Bazakos did answer questions face-to-face after Colorado and in L.A. where Alan Kelly and Chris Penso did not.
Yeah, that is interesting. And I think Penso has done a good job this season. I think he's been one of the better referees in Major League Soccer. The one coming up on Saturday, I have some questions about.
Oh, yeah, hopefully refereeing does not become the conversation as it has over the last week. Let's get to some predictions because you've got a good round in motion.
You got to finish your back nine there.
Yeah, we got to
get you scramble on the 11th.
Got to get you finished. You've still got some work to do on hole 11. Columbus.
I'm on deadline, baby.
All right, Columbus come into town. It will not be easy, but Atlanta is a big favorite according to the Juice Box purveyors. John, you want to kick us off with your prediction?
Well, let me give you Jared's. Jared's is
2-1.
No, it's actually 3-1, and I'm going with Jared on this one.
So you're ripping Jared's prediction off. Okay.
Yes, I am, actually. So Jared says 3-1. I say 3-1. Nick has declined to answer because reasons, whatever
Nick's
those are.
the negative Nelly of the group. He
Negative
doesn't
Nancy.
want to actually pick Columbus to win, but he kind of wants to.
Yeah. So, no, I'm going to go 3-1. I think that Zardes gets one, but I think that Atlanta get a lot more. I think that they get out to a fast start, and Columbus is having to do things off of the back foot. I think it's probably 1-0 at the break. Second goal is scored early second half. I think it's fairly comfortable. I think that Zardes gets one, but I think that quickly after that, Atlanta gets a third. So I'll go with Joseph with a brace and PT with the third. 3-1 Atlanta United.
Okay, so a couple 3-1s on the board. Doug, what are you thinking?
2-0 Atlanta United.
2-0.
I'm not 14th shutout of the season in the league.
Okay, I can see that. I'm actually kind of along those lines. I'm going to go 3-0. I feel pretty good about this because Columbus, where I worry about them attacking down the right side with Luis Diaz, with Harrison Offal, we talked about that on stoppage time on Wednesday. Yeah, they can create some opportunities there, but I think that also leaves them open and they can get hurt on the break, and that's where Atlanta can take advantage. I'm going 3-0. I think Joseph does get a goal. I think Brad gets clean sheet number 14, and I think that the man of the match coming out of it, I don't know. I really think it could be Emerson Hyndman. I feel like this is a game with no Barco. Hyndman steps in for him and has a huge impact on this because Columbus, it's not completely in sync this season with Trapp and Artur because they're doing different things than they used to. It used to be Trapp always sat, Artur always went. Now they're kind of like, well, sometimes Trapp will go forward, then Artur has to sit. They get out of sync there. I think Hyndman can eat that up. So Hyndman, man of the match, Joseph with a goal, Brad with a clean sheet. That's my pick. Doug, what else do you have coming up over at the AJC between now and the rest of the weekend?
Is it 14th clean sheet or 13th clean sheet?
14th. He's got 13.
Okay. Yeah, I've forgotten one. I'll post my predicted lineup in the morning as I watch Liverpool destroy Newcastle, even though Miguel Almiron's going to get a goal.
Okay.
And then I'll have, as always, the game story as soon as the whistle is done echoing around beautiful Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Player ratings, a Southern Fried Soccer podcast with Jason Longshore.
I've heard of him.
That's me.
Let's see. And whatever sidebars present themselves from the game.
Hopefully not a refereeing sidebar. I'm really
hopefully not a refereeing sidebar. That would be nice.
Yeah, I don't want that one. Doug, good luck the rest of the round.
Hit him straight.
All right, buddy. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
All right, see you tomorrow, Doug. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this to wrap everything up.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky and Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Final segment, Soccer Down here, September 13th. Had Teise out of Argentina on this morning, and the Argentine national basketball team advanced to the World Cup final this morning with a big win over France. And it's been really cool to see like how big this is. It's a little underrated how much basketball is loved in Argentina. This team has no NBA guys. Luis Scola's 39 years old, and he was the star. It's crazy. But this is it's kind of cool to see this, where I've talked about it with Mike. I've talked about it with people at 92.9, Deshaun Tate, who covers basketball and especially the college game. One of the best around doing it. To me, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like the NBA and USA Basketball are really missing out on making the World Cup in basketball like a big deal. The NBA should be all over it and try to own it or do whatever they can to have a say and control it, because the Olympics are the Olympics, and they're the bigger deal in the U.S. in terms of basketball. But the World Cup, I mean, where basketball is these days, it feels like a no-brainer in terms of printing money. I mean, you've got Argentina and Spain in the final. Yes, the U.S. did not take a team or a B team. It was probably more of like a BC team. But your semifinalists that lost were France and Australia. Like it feels like the game is at a point now where it can blow up internationally even more than it has, and the World Cup could be a big part of it.
Well, and Jerry Colangelo, the head of USA Basketball, said publicly that he would remember who chose not to be a part of this team that had its worst showing on the world stage. So Mr. Colangelo and probably Coach Popovich are going to be remembering the folks who told them no for the next go-rounds.
I mean, they can't come banging on the door and expect him to go to the Olympics next year. So we shall see. It'll be interesting. I hope it continues to grow, and it is very cool to see Manu Ginobili was there, and all the Argentine players went over to give him a big hug after the game, because this was a huge deal to Argentina to get to the final again. Very cool. Very cool to see. What other questions do we have on the Twitters to wrap everything up on a Friday?
Let's see. We're having an argument over the Five Stripes nickname. That seems to be the biggest thing that's going on right now.
Yeah, that always comes up. I get it. I mean, if it's not the Five Stripes, that's okay. It is in the badge, and I think there's 5 red stripes if you count it that way, but, it's all good. Is it stripes? Is it what? So we need a new pregame show name, I guess, for 2020. We'll have to work.
As do we need one for the weekend preview over there. That has also been petitioned as well.
Okay. Well, that didn't have a name yet, so that just needs a name. Period. That hasn't been named.
So we have things that need names and things that need new names, I guess.
Yes.
And apparently, Patrick Cox is looking for Mike Jazz Hands Conti to be a thing.
I mean, it could. It could. I mean, it's a. I think it was a mocking use of jazz hands.
Well, of course, it was put in quotes by Patrick. Mike, quote, jazz hands, end quote, Conti.
Yes, I think some people will get, in some situations, will get the air quote jazz hands reference given to them.
Yeah.
And the expansion draft definitely gets that.
Yes. And, so like I said, you got Tafka and Daniel Price going after the Five Stripes nickname. Alex Pacine is wanting to suggest a particular klaxon for the expansion draft. The sound the tripods make in Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds.
Ooh, I didn't see that, so I don't know that sound, but I'm assuming it's jarring, maybe?
Yeah, that'd be my guess. And Chiefs coach Steve Wynn is also requesting an expansion klaxon, and when it goes off, we hide Darlington Nagbe in the bunker.
Look, I think the expansion draft, there's going to be a lot of caginess with it because players who are out of contract or potentially out of contract, it's going to get complicated for them. And you only get 5 picks, so we've seen this every time in the expansion draft. If a guy is any kind of out of contract or there's a player option or whatever, can opt out, whatever the contract terms are, a lot of times teams are going to leave them unprotected and basically dare an expansion team like, okay, do you want to risk one of your picks on a guy that might not be with you? All right, have at it. That happens a lot. And I don't know, and this is where it's really difficult on our end, is you don't know what Nagbe's contract situation is. You don't know LGP Gressel. Are they out of contract? Are they going into an option year? I'm assuming it's the latter at least. But is it a player option? Is it a team option? What are the terms of said option? We don't know this stuff. So predicting who's going to be protected, it is an absolute crapshoot. And there will be some things that come up about who has to be, or who, I think how many internationals have to be protected. That's been something that's been in the rules in the past. And in players that don't have to be protected. Believe current generation Adidas players, and Miles would graduate from that next year based off how much he's played this year. And homegrowns would not have to be protected. So it's so, I mean, you're throwing things at a wall and hoping you get some of them right because you don't have all of the rules in front of you. And that's the part that I want MLS to understand, that embracing that would generate more conversation and get more people talking, and that's a good thing for the league. Embracing that conversation and that speculation around who could be protected, who's going to get picked, what the salary cap's looking like, how much allocation money do the teams have to work with. It's benefited the NBA. It would benefit Major League Soccer if it's done correctly, and I hope that they do it. Maybe that's part of the CBA discussion. Maybe there is a discussion about making this stuff public and more easily digestible for the media and for fans, because I think it would be a big benefit for the league.
What, do we have an international klaxon?
No, we do not.
Okay, well, PSG boss Thomas Tuchel has confirmed that Neymar is in the squad to face Strasbourg tomorrow, so he's
okay. Have fun with that, PSG. I can't wait to see what the reaction from the fans are after some of the things they've said.
Yep. And Shiva's only worry with player turnover at the end of the year is CONCACAF Champions League. We have to have as much continuity as we can.
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge. That's always the challenge for MLS teams with CONCACAF is it falls going into a new season. It's not, like in the middle of a season. It's not towards the end of a season. It's not, towards the middle of a calendar year or a seasonal year. It's at the very beginning. So you don't have a lot of time to ease in new players. It's difficult. You look at it in Europe. So you have Champions League start this week? Group stage?
I think it's next week.
Nope, starts this week on the 17th.
Okay.
So they've had English teams will have played 6 games, I think, before they get into Champions League. Italian teams will have played 3, Spanish teams like 4. A little bit more, and that little bit helps, but you're going into a group stage. You're not going into leg 1 of 2 legs. You know, if Napoli and Liverpool, who play Tuesday, if Napoli gets a little bit of a slow start because of squad turnover and, you know, you've got a tough game in game 1, you've got 6 games in the group stage. Losing 1 doesn't kill you. Losing the first leg of 2 could knock you out. That's a big difference. That's why it's even harder for MLS teams in this situation. So you want to have as much continuity as possible, but you also, it's impossible to completely keep the same squad year to year. It just isn't going to happen.
Dortmund and Barca, one of the late games on Tuesday afternoon.
Not bad.
That won't be
not a bad
fun
one at all. Might be watching over at the Brew House in Little 5 Points.
Excellent plug. Prize picks and fantasy to finish.
All right. Well, fantasy, I mean, we've already talked about. You know, you had a bunch of teams that were playing double game weeks. There weren't really a ton of players that jumped out at you that you had to get in these double game weeks. So hopefully you picked correctly. Hopefully you've got a nice little boost. Well, I know you didn't. I'm just saying hopefully in general for the people out there. Prize picks, the board is up for the weekend, and there's some intriguing ones. Carlos Vela's at a 12 on the board.
Under.
Why?
I don't think he starts. Well,
Well,
and foremost, I don't think he starts.
If he doesn't start, it doesn't matter. Remember, this is with prize picks. If they don't start, that pick comes off the board. So if you do,
I think it's coming
picks,
off the board.
Okay, then you don't touch it. You don't pick the under. You don't pick it. That's a big difference, and that's what I'm saying here. Because if it's a 4-pick play, if you make 4 picks, and Vela's one of them, and he doesn't start, then it goes down to a 3-pick play. That's a big difference than picking the under. If he started training Monday, he could absolutely start. And I would be, if you're thinking about this pick, I would be looking at what Bob Bradley has to say to the media today and see if he tips his hand in any way. I would lean under because I don't think he's going to be 100% and 100% fit, and I don't think he plays 90. That's where I would lean under if I go that way. The rest of the board, Zlatan, 12.5
under
at home to Kansas City. Joseph, 10.5 at home to Columbus. Vaco, 6.5. Diego Rossi, 5.5. Kasper Shabilko, 7. Wondolowski, 6. Rooney, 5.5. Manota, 6. Raul Ruidiaz, 9.5. Maxi Morales, 5.5. Diego Valeri, 6. Michael Barrios, 4.5. Daniel Royer, 5.5. Carlos Heel, 6. Heel's up at a number that's a little trickier now. Let's see. What jumps out to me that I like?
Wando over?
Researching it. Maybe.
Zlatan under.
I'm trying not to listen to you because you've had bad selections as of late.
And
now
this
you're making
surprises you because?
Yeah, no. I am going to go Maxi Morales over. I am going to go... Man, these are some tricky ones. Morales
I'll put it right on them.
over. I will go Vaco under. I will go Manotas over.
Yeah.
And I would lean to Vela under because I do think he starts, but I don't think he finishes. So that's going to limit his opportunity to add up points. And I don't think he scores twice against Philadelphia. I think that's a tighter game. So Vela under, Vaco under, Morales over, Manotas over. That's what jumps out to me.
Yeah. For me, it's Zlatan under, Wando over, Vela under if he starts, And Manotas riding his momentum will go over.
Do we have the picks from the expert when it comes to Prize Picks, Daniel Price?
Yes. Joseph over at 10.5.
Okay.
Zlatan under 12.5.
Okay.
Valeri over at 6.
I thought about that one.
Yeah. And Rui Diaz under at 9. I like that one too.
I don't like that one. That's the one that I feel like that game's going to be crazy, and if it's crazy, Rui Diaz will probably get something out of it. Now, it's a lot of points to get to, but I'm just leaving it off the board because I don't trust it. But yeah, the Valeri one I thought about, and that's an intriguing one. I can't really fault that. I just wouldn't touch Rui Diaz because that game could be insane. I have no idea where it will go. Any other tweets we need to hit before we go?
Daniel is saying, yep, Vela, stay away from him. No guarantee he plays.
I think I think I'm saying this now. I would be absolutely tuned into what Bradley's going to say today if he speaks to the media and what comes out of that, because if there's any hint that he doesn't, I leave it off. I think he does if he started training again on Monday. I just don't think he finishes. I think he's like a 60-minute thing. So that's why I would take the under.
Yeah,
but
right
wait and see what is said is my thought on it.
Yep.
All right, that's it. We'll be in the Gulch tomorrow, 3 o'clock, for the Tailgate Show presented by Appolinsky and Associates. 6 o'clock, we'll have the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff on Atlanta United social media channels. Mike and I will give you the Atlanta United lineup for the first time. We'll start on air on 92.9 The Game on radio.com at 6:30. You can also listen on the Atlanta United app. Kickoff will be just after 7 o'clock. We'll have the full-time report after the match for an hour on your way home. There are lots of games that we will be following and keeping you up to date on. Lots of stuff going on in the Eastern Conference tomorrow. The two rivals Atlanta's battling with. We'll know the result from NYC because that game's early. Philadelphia will finish up with LAFC around 9:30 while we're in the midst of the full-time report, and we'll keep you up to date on it. Going to be a hectic one tomorrow around the bends. Looking forward to it. Big crowd. Get there early. Make all the noise. Do your thing, and we will talk to you on Monday to wrap everything up. Much plot, y'all.
Much plot, y'all.